The film begins with a glimpse of modern-day Russia, where we meet the beautiful and mysterious protagonist Dominika Egorova. As she listens to music on her earphones, the scene shifts to a man receiving a coded message on the phone. Meanwhile, Dominika checks on her ailing mother before they leave together for a doctor's appointment. The man decodes the message, grabs his gun, and sets out on a mission with unclear motives. The man gets on the subway, then to a cafe where he sits and waits. We see Dominika's ill mother, Nina Egorova, where the palliative care consultant, Lenny, arrives in time for her to leave. We learn that Dominika is a prima ballerina at the Bolshoi. Meanwhile, the man at the cafe inconspicuously heads out through an unused exit. Just before Dominika's performance, her uncle, Ivan Vladimirovich, the deputy director of SVR, introduces her to Dmitry Ustinov, who claims is a patron and a valued friend of the arts. Dmitry asks for a photograph, and when posing, he touches her inappropriately. The man from earlier is seen walking through the subway to get to Gorky Park, while Dominika prepares for and begins her performance. As he approaches a shadowy figure, the man is followed by a police car. The shadowy figure passes something to him, but he creates a diversion. To ensure his asset, a Russian mole codenamed Marble escapes unidentified. With the police in pursuit, the man runs into the streets to the American embassy, claiming to be a citizen. Meanwhile, Dominika suffers a brutal injury caused by her partner Konstantin during her performance. Dominika is taken to the hospital on a stretcher, while at the embassy, the man is revealed to be Nathaniel Nash, a CIA operative working in Moscow. The police were there on another case, but now are in pursuit for the asset due to the incident in the park. Dominika's uncle, the deputy director of the SVR, meets his supervisors, General Vladimir Kornoy and Director Colonel Zakharov, who inform him of the previous night's events. The trio is fully aware of the CIA's involvement, and their interest in the unidentified asset increases. Dominika awakens from surgery with a broken heart, realizing that she has suffered a career-ending injury and will never be able to perform again. As Dominika finishes her cigarette and hobbles home with her crutch, she is greeted by her mother and an unexpected visitor, her uncle Ivan. Over tea, Ivan hits at a ploy by Konstantin and her Bolshoi successor, Sonia, to sabotage Dominika's career and offers her a way to protect herself and her mother. He hands her a sealed package with evidence of Konstantin's treachery, urging her to take action. Dominika follows Konstantin to the woman's locker room and discovers him in bed with Sonia. In a fit of rage, she brutally attacks them with her crutch and flees. When she returns home, she finds her crying mother on the bathroom floor as the Bolshoi has cut funding for her medical care. Desperate for help, Dominika turns to Ivan, who tasks her with seducing Dmitry Ustinov to gain his trust and gather intelligence. Dominika agrees for the sake of her mother. Ivan provides her with the necessary tools and instructions to carry out the espionage, promising her safety throughout. As anticipated, Dmitry approaches Dominika at the bar where she had claimed to be waiting for a friend. Caught in her lie, she confesses to be there to seek his help. She leads him up to her private room where his bodyguards inspect the place upon arrival. Dominika rushes to the bathroom and vomits. Despite her desperate attempts to stall and wait for the police to arrive, Ustinov commands her to undress and proceeds. An SVR operative in a helmet authorized by Ivan kills Ustinov and rescues Dominika. He brings her to a safe location where he explains the operation to his superior, General Vladimir. Ivan proposes recruiting Dominika as a spy, but he asks Ivan to get rid of her. However, Ivan insists on protecting Dominika and gives her a choice: become an SVR operative or be executed for witnessing Ustinov's assassination. Dominika reluctantly chooses the former and tells her mother of her departure. Nina reveals Ivan's long-standing ill intentions for Dominika and advises her to be cautious as she sets out for her training. Dominika is sent to State School 4, where she meets Matron, her trainer, and is given the codename Katerina. She is warned that any deviation from the mission would result in a fatal outcome. During her training as Katya, Dominika is asked to participate in a psychological manipulation exercise with her classmate Victor, where they are instructed to remove their clothes. When Dominika refuses, Matron emphasizes the importance of meeting the state's expectations in order to survive. Meanwhile, Nash is reassigned to the US, but is asked to stand by when he wants to re-establish contact with Marble despite insisting that he is the only person with whom Marble will work. As Dominika's training intensifies, she proves to be a quick learner and even corrects her fellow classmate, Nikolai. However, another classmate, Anya, is subjected to humiliating training when asked to perform fellatio on an inmate. Nash reports being followed by the Russians in the US to his superiors and proposes that he be assigned to Budapest to reconnect with Marble. Dominika and her classmates are given the task of welcoming Russian soldiers back home, and she takes the lead in demonstrating a physical and mental stimulation technique with a soldier named Piotr. However, Matron reprimands her for not choosing an easy target. During a shower, Nikolai tries to assault Dominika, but she defends herself and knocks him bloody to the ground. General Vladimir proposes extracting information from Nash directly in Budapest, but Ivan suggests sending a spy to win him over. Dominika is called out for her altercation with Nikolai, but stands by her defense. General Vladimir speaks with her alone and is impressed by her demeanor. Later, Nikolai is brought before Dominika during a training exercise to request something from her. As General Vladimir watches, Dominika demands that Nikolai look into her eyes rather than turn around like he requests. When he fails to perform, Dominika deduces that it was power that he had been seeking all along. Despite Matron's advice, Dominika is deemed ready for her assignment in Budapest. Before leaving, she visits her mother, but the reunion is cut short by a phone call. Her mother warns her that Ivan won't let her go, but Dominika is determined to find a way. At a restaurant, Ivan assigns her on a mission to gain Nash's trust and expose the mole, Marble's identity. Ivan pacifies Dominika and leaves her with the task. In Budapest, Dominika meets Marta Yelenova, her Sparrow roommate, who warns her against the chief supervising them, Maxim Volontov. Marta advises Dominika to find a way to escape and informs her about Volontov's sexual advances towards new recruits. Dominika keeps an eye on Nash at the community pool and dyes her hair blonde with Marta's help. She becomes a member at Nash's pool and eventually makes contact with him. Back at CIA headquarters, Nash identifies Dominika as Ivan's niece and a Russian intelligence operative. Dominika approaches Volontov to request entry to an event at the American embassy. He behaves inappropriately towards her but eventually agrees. At the embassy event, Dominika notices Marta's proximity to Stephanie Boucher, the chief of staff to a US senator. Nash approaches Dominika and they engage in banter before he invites her to dinner the next evening, which she accepts. Upon returning, Dominika investigates Marta's room and discovers her involvement in buying classified intelligence from Boucher. When she returns home, Marta warns Dominika that she is being watched and has made an enemy of Volontov. Dominika pretends to comply with Volontov's demands before threatening to file a sexual assault report on him, resulting in her getting a black eye. Nash is stood up at the restaurant, but Dominika follows him to his apartment. Nash receives a coded call, and Dominika breaks down outside his building before calling his intercom, sobbing. He offers her a glass of whiskey and some ice for her blackened eye. When questioned about the incident, Dominika relays the events about rejecting her boss's sexual advances and reveals Volontov's name. When Nash asks how she knew his address, she turns on the TV and questions why he left Russia, to which he responds truthfully. When Dominika tries to seduce him, Nash attempts to convince her to defect by asking her to remember why she came to him. She leaves, but returns the next day to search Nash's apartment and takes a glass as evidence. Upon returning home, Ivan is waiting for her and pressures Dominika about her slow progress with Nash. She claims to be working with Marta on Boucher and asks for $250,000 in exchange for her meeting with the US Chief of Staff in London. When he leaves, Marta is unhappy with Dominika's suggestion that they are working together, but Dominika reveals that the SVR held her witnessing Dmitry Utsynov's assassination against her and extends Marta the money. The following day, Dominika travels to Vienna and keeps watch on a British banker there, while Marta pays Volontov a visit to betray Dominika. On the orders of the SVR, Marta is brutally killed by the assassin Matorin for learning about Dominika's past with the gangster. He leaves Dominika with the warning that this would be her fate if she failed her mission or revealed more information, and is told to call the police to report the crime. Despite knowing she is a Sparrow, Nash believes Dominika can be recruited. During questioning about Marta's death, she says nothing. She meets Nash, who takes her to his place, and Dominika reveals why she got to Budapest, with Marta's death serving as a warning. Nash offers her a way out in exchange for access to Ivan, and she agrees to be a double agent. After he gains her trust, they share a fully clothed sensual moment. Then he instructs her to write a falsified report on him to make him appear vulnerable, which she does under Volantov's watchful eyes. Dominika heads to a secure place for a polygraph test with the American agents. When asked why she agreed to switch sides, she claims to know the men she works for and needs funds for her mother's health. She demands $30,000 to be wired into her account for her service. Where Marty Garble, the other agent, questions Dominika about her relationship with Nash, she confidently denies any emotional connection with him. She provides the agents with valuable intel about Boucher's plans to sell information on a US satellite defense system to the Russians. Dominika also discloses her upcoming meeting with Boucher in London. Under orders from her Russian handlers, Dominika arrives in London with the US agents keeping a close eye on her every move. While in her hotel room, Dominika discovers CIA-supplied intelligence hidden under the table. She heads to the bar where she meets Volantov, and to avoid derailing her mission, she sends him to her room. When Boucher arrives at the bar, Dominika invites her to her room to complete their exchange. While Boucher gets another drink, Dominika replaces the intel with CIA-supplied disinformation. To buy Dominika some time, Forsyth knocks on the hotel room door, distracting Volantov. Dominika tells Boucher that they will be in touch for the next delivery and leaves with Volantov. Boucher, who had become drunk, leaves soon after, and Nash rushes to the room to pick up the real discs. However, Boucher soon realizes that American intelligence agents are observing her, and she panics, backing into traffic and getting killed by a passing truck. The Russian agent watching Boucher discerns that their mission has been compromised. Dominika and Volantov are recalled to Moscow under the guise of being congratulated, and Volantov takes the discs and Dominika's passports from her. Meanwhile, Nash is informed of Boucher's death and change in Dominika's direction. He pursues her but is waved off by Dominika and frustrated as he watches her leave Budapest. Back in Moscow, Dominika and Volantov are subjected to brutal torture and interrogation for several days. Dominika is shown a video of Volantov's execution but maintains her innocence in the face of brutality and death. Eventually, Ivan believes her claims and she is released. However, she returns home a broken woman, and Ivan warns her that if she is caught double-crossing the Russians, she will be eliminated. Dominika continues her mission of extracting Marble's identity from Nash. She convinces Nash to relocate her and her mother to America with $250,000 for their resettlement, and he agrees. After spending the night with him, Dominika awakens to find him being tortured by Matorin for Marble's identity. She binds Nash tighter and initially assists Matorin until she can strike him. She manages to kill Matorin but is gravely injured in the process. After waking up in the hospital, Dominika is surprised when General Vladimir Kornoy reveals himself as Marble, the mole she had been tasked with uncovering. Marble explains that he had been patriotic at first, but his disillusionment with Russia's corruption grew when a bureaucrat he had offended refused to allow an American doctor to operate on his sick wife. Marble instructs Dominika to expose his identity to Ivan, which would make her a national hero and allow her to replace him as a mole, passing critical intelligence to the CIA. Before leaving the hospital, Dominika checks on Nash and makes a cryptic phone call to her mother from a vending machine mobile. She then returns to her apartment, where she is arrested on the spot. Despite her arrest, Dominika manages to get in touch with the Russian embassy and asks to speak to Director Zakharov, telling him that she has the name of the mole. However, Zakharov orders Dominika's immediate extradition, and she is taken to the American agents with orders for Nash to escort her halfway. Nash is convinced that Dominika double-crossed him, but he is shocked when she gives up Ivan as the mole, and we learn that she has been fabricating evidence against him since she first arrived in Hungary. As a result of Dominika's actions, Ivan is assassinated in the exchange, and Dominika is honored in a Russian military ceremony attended by Kornoy. Back in Russia, Dominika lives with her mother and is seen attending and then leaving the ballet. Later, she receives a mysterious phone call from an unknown person who plays Grieg's Piano Concerto, the same piece to which she had danced her first solo performance and previously shared with Nash. Ready for more heart-pumping action? Leave us a comment, smash that like button, and hit subscribe to never miss another thrilling video from us.